Hi, this is TJ with Piano Clubhouse, and today I'm going to show you how to play Incredible God by Youthful Praise. It's in the key of D flat. The notes in the key of D flat, D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat, C, and D flat. Using all of the black keys. So let's get started with the introduction. Very simple. 3 chords. The sheer basics of the chord is just a D flat major, a D flat sus2, where it's a suspended chord with the 2. So it's D flat, E flat, and A flat in the right hand, D flat in the left. A suspended chord, just a real quick theory. This is your D flat major chord, D flat, F, A flat. You can make a chord suspended one of 2 ways, either a suspended 4 where you move the 3rd note to the 4th note of the scale, or where you move the 3rd note to the 2nd note of the scale. The sus4 moves it up to the 4th note. That's a sus4. A sus2 is when you move that 3rd note down to the 2nd note of the scale. Sus2. Okay. So we're going to be using a lot of the suspended chords here, or sus chords. Okay. So, introduction. We're going to use a D flat sus2 over D flat. We're going to, matter of fact, it's going to be all sus chords in the introduction. D flat sus2 over D flat. B major sus2. B, D flat, G flat over B. Then we move down to a G flat sus2. G flat, A flat, D flat. Okay? That's the basics, the sheer basic of the chord for the introduction. If you want to, you can add the 3rd. Okay, for the first one, the 3rd is that F. Second one, you can add that E flat. The next one, you can add that B flat. I typically don't. You can, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't sound bad. Another option, you can also add the 5th note in your left hand. So add it to this D flat, you're going to play the A flat. To the B, add this G flat. To the G flat, add the D flat. Okay, so let's put that together slowly. Next thing we're going to do to kind of spice this up a little bit is break up the chords. And by break up, I mean instead of playing it all together, we're going to break up the chord. So we're playing the same notes, but instead of playing them at the same time, we break them up and play them individually to kind of just fill up the space a little bit more, okay? Okay, so there's a few things I'm doing. So instead of playing just that straight D flat sus, I'm kind of flipping my notes. I'm playing a lot of individual notes, E flat, A flat, and I kind of flip from the E flat to the F. Okay. I even jumped up an octave here. I played that B sus2. I jumped up, played it an octave up here before I jump down. So playing octaves sounds good. Playing individual notes sounds just as fine as well. Okay. So a lot of neat little things you can do to your chords to go from sounding plain and basic to where you're just banging out the chords. You want to bang out the chords. You want to make it smooth and dynamic. And we don't want to get too monotonous. We want it to sound the same every time. song starts. After we do that as many times as you need to for the introduction. Let me also show you one thing real quick. At the introduction, there's a lick in here that they're going to do later on. They don't do it here in the introduction, but let me show it to you now, because halfway through the song, in little spurts of the song, we're going to do this introduction again, but with this run. So I'm going to show it to you now, so I don't have to show it to you later on in the song. So it's A flat, B flat, D flat, E flat, and then back down those same notes. D flat, B flat, just 4 notes. Dun, 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 and stop on the B flat. Up, down. Okay? So, later on in the song, we're going to go like this. We do it one time, do it a second time. After G flat, go to the run. That's the timing of it. One more time, here's the run. 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, slow it down a little bit. The tricky thing here is getting out of that run. As soon as you hit that B flat, your hand's got to shoot back to the sus chord to get back, start on the progression. Let's do it right here. Okay, it's a little sloppy there, but that's the idea. So we're going to do that little run later on in the song. Don't worry about that now. The introduction is just those sus chords, those 3 sus chords, repeating over and over again until it's time for the verse. Okay, so now let's go right to the verse. So the introduction ends on the G flat sus chord. Okay, so getting right into the song. A little sloppy there, but you get the idea. Let's work our way through the verse. So, left hand, primary bass note, F, G flat, A flat. Okay. Again, F, A flat. Third time, F, G flat, then F, G, A, B flat. Okay, that's third time. One more time, F, G flat, then F, G, A, B flat. Okay, so all white keys. F, G, A, land on the B flat. And then we go right back to the introduction. B, almost like the introduction, I'm sorry. B, B flat, A flat. Incredible. Now we're back to the introduction, sorry. D flat, B, just like the introduction. Okay, so one more time. F, G flat, great and small, repeat it. Next time, just go up to G flat, and go back down to F and walk up white keys. Then on B flat, then B, B flat, A flat, then go back to the introduction. Okay? Right hand. Again, starting out, keeping it simple. A bunch of sus chords again. Over the F, right hand's going to do a D flat sus 2. D flat, E flat, A flat. Left hand goes to G flat. Right hand, you're going to just switch to a sus 4. If you remember the sus 4, instead of the F moving down, F moves up. So now we go to the D flat sus 4. And then for the third bass note, right hand moves back down to the sus 2. Okay, so we're just doing sus 2, sus 4, sus 2. Okay. I've had some problems, some great and some small. Keeping it simple first. Third time's when it changes. Sus 2, sus 4. Then here's where the left hand goes F, G, A, B flat. Right hand, go to this A diminished, C, E flat A, right, D flat, F, B flat. Then left hand goes, remember it goes to A, right hand goes back to that A diminished, but now add that C to it. Okay, so it's then over the B flat, you can go to a D flat major chord with the D flat at the top. Then go to a B major chord. Over B, you can even do the sus2 if you want to. B flat major, B, D flat, E flat, G flat. I like to do the full triad here with the added second. Left hand and right hand B's go to B flat. So first, that second. Then keep this hand here. Matter of fact, let's add this A flat when the left hand goes to A flat. When the left hand goes to A flat, we're going to add this A flat. So A flat on both ends. Let's do this. A flat and G flat with that, okay? We're going to add the A flat and G flat here. Incredible. Then we're back to the introduction. Sus, 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 2 chords. Okay? That's the first. Let's go through it slowly. That's the whole thing. Sus2, sus4, sus2, sus2, sus4, sus2. One more time. Here we go to the diminished chords. There it is. Then B major, drop down to B flats, add that A flat. Okay? Add that melody, incredible. Then we're back to the introduction. Now after the verse, just like we just did, is when we do the runs. We do that twice, and here comes a run. Alright, so that's the basics of it. Let's add a little bit of flavor to this section of the song here, okay? So, a couple things that we can do. Instead of just playing your primary bass note by itself or just octaves, we're going to do, if you have big enough hands, I like to do F and A flat. I like to do that, F and A flat. When the F goes up to G flat, I like to leave this A flat, so that together, that pair, A flat and G flat. Then when the left hand goes to A flat, I like to drop this A flat down to G flat. Okay? Just left hand. And all the rest can be the same. F here, the 5th here, and then back to normal. You can just do octaves here. And I already showed you to play that G flat with the A flat here. Incredible. Then we're doing octaves. Actually, we can do the 5ths here too. A flat and D flat, B and G flat, G flat and D flat, then the run. Let's add some flavor to the right hand now, okay? So we're doing the susses, those are just fine. Now in between each of these small progressions, after these 3 chords, 1, 2, 3, there's a couple of things you can do in between here. One, sounds really pretty as they did in the song. They did a E flat sus chord in between. E flat, A flat, B flat, E flat. And just to go again, just a reminder of the theory. It's a sus chord because you take the major chord. The E flat major is E flat, G, B flat. To make it a sus chord, which is default of the sus4, instead of saying, yeah, sus4. To make it a sus4, you take the G, raise it up to A flat. So this is an E flat suspended chord or sus chord. So that sounds really pretty sticking right after that first progressive notes. Watch. Okay, they do that in the album. It sounds really pretty after that first one. Another thing, instead of doing that sus2 starting out, they roll down. Now this technically is a sus2. This little roll I'm doing here. It's a D flat, E flat, A flat, the same chord I did here, but I did it an octave higher and I added an A flat to it, so it's a sus2, just a different version of it. And not to complicate things too much, but this also can be an A flat sus4, which is the same as a D flat sus2. If you do, can also be an A flat sus4. Don't get confused. Let's just keep it to keep it consistent. This is D flat sus2. Okay, so you can do that at the beginning of the next progression. Okay, so let's start from the beginning of the verse, and I'll just show you what I just explained. I've had some problems. Some E flat sus2. Roll down. Okay. There's another sus that sounds good. No, it's a sus2. Okay, so you can do the sus chords sound really good as fillers in between main phrases of the song. Okay, so I've had some problems. Some great sus over E flat. That E flat sus2 gives it a slightly different feel. So you don't want to overdo that one. That'll wear out its welcome. Just kind of do it once every blue moon. Everything else you can do the D flat sus's. Okay? So I've had some problems. First time, roll down, and then what's wrong? Oh, roll down this way, sorry. Then keep going. You know, I do octaves. Another little lick there sounds really pretty. C, D flat, A flat. You can either play it broken up like that, or play it at the same time. I love that sound. There's a little dissonance in there, a little clashing of the notes that's going on between the C and D flat being played together. But that's what makes the chord so beautiful, okay? So let's try and throw that in there along with everything that we've learned so far. Take it slowly. Here's the dissonant chord. Okay, back to the introduction. Octaves sound really good, but don't overdo it. I think I did it too much there. Going up to the introduction. Do it again. All right, so let's get to the next section. It starts on a F. Let's see. So coming out of the incredible God deserves incredible praise. God would do this for me. Mercy is incredible. play with the right hand, but watch the left hand. We're going to learn this first, okay? Incredible God is incredible. F, D flat, F, God, G flat, A flat, and B flat. It repeats, just going down to A flat and walking up. F. And it's just like the last section. F, G, A, B flat, and walking up.